Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CEO Corner. My name is Tiffany Bell, and I am the host of today's show. I am looking forward to introducing you all to our guests. And so, before we jump into that, though, I want to make sure that I mention to you all just a little bit about our CEO. Excuse me, nope, this is not the CEO one. We have two journals, but today's focus is going to be affirmations for a woman on a mission. And so, if this is your first time connecting with us, please know that I am in the midst of interviewing some really fabulous ladies, all of which are contributors of our Affirmations of a Woman on the Move affirmation journal or Affirmations of a CEO on the Move journal. That will be out later on in the month, right? And so basically, it's 39 women, and these 39 women have written out their favorite affirmation. Could have been their favorite quote, their favorite power statement, could be a favorite scripture, but basically words that shape the mind, words that focus the heart, words that make a difference, right? And so, for those of you who may or may not journal, if you don't journal, you probably should try it, give it a chance. If you do journal, then you know that journaling is a great way for you to, again, just focus, right? It helps you to, for me, it helps me to preserve memories, mind you, but it really, I love the fact that it helps me to just self-reflect, help me to deal with personal feelings and be able to just kind of work through whatever it is that I have on the heart, whatever it is I have on the mind. And so, again, these ladies are all wonderful women that have contributed, and I'd love for you to get a copy of this so that you too can work on focusing your mind and focusing your heart. Again, if you want a copy of this, feel free to go to www.uncommoncourage.com /affirm women. Again, uncommoncourage.cc /affirm women. So, with that, I want you to meet one of our authors. All right, and so you're in for a real treat. Her name is Chavali McIntosh. Okay, so Chavali is the founder and president of Purpose on Purpose, POP, right? And she's been passionate about volunteering and doing nonprofit work from an early age. She's a mom and a retired Marine Corps veteran. Chavali is dedicated her life to helping others, whether in her home, in her community, as a certified life coach, or for her country. So, welcome to the stage with me, Chavali McIntosh. McIntosh, am I
Hi.
saying your name right? You remember I
Yes.
told her earlier that I'm not the best at all when it comes to pronunciations. I never want to slaughter a name, but I have slaughtered one or two in my time.
You're doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm very excited to have you here. So, Shivali, why don't we just start off with you? Just, I read a little bit about your bio, mind you, but I would love for our audience to hear just a little bit about Shivali when you're not on the clock. What does Shivali look like? What's a typical Saturday, if you're not working, look like for you? Help our listeners just know really who you are on and off the stage, on and off the clock.
Okay. The typical weekend for me is on a Saturday. Like this past Saturday, I was cleaning out my garage. So I've been inspired by the show. Been inspired by the show Hoarders. Not that I'm a hoarder, but it's like you can do better. So I started cleaning up the house. Having been in the military for 20 years, I've acquired a lot of things that I no longer need. And I've been out of the Marine Corps now for 4 years. So there are things that I should have gotten rid of every duty station, every time we moved, and I didn't. So yeah, I'm feeling convicted that I need to just take care of that kind of stuff. And then I'm hanging out with my son. He's a 12-year-old, so he's a preteen. Hanging out with him. We're trying to get into roller skating. When we're sore, we don't tend to do anything. So we need to, that's what's been going on with us lately.
So roller skating now, I feel as if my fear, I can skate, but just barely. If you saw me out trying to do any type of anything that's like high impact, I have no rhythm. I barely have balance. Just not a good scene for me at all. But you mentioned that you were in the military. Obviously, you've been out for 4 years, and that you're a Marine. So I find that interesting. Tell me, like how, like what made you, and what encouraged you first of all to serve your country, why the military, and then of course, why that branch of service, and then how did what does your 20-year career with the Marines look like?
Well, what prompted me to go into the military to begin with was the fact that I had a lot of experience when it came to my job, but I didn't have a lot of education. So I was getting passed up for promotions because I didn't have the education, and education and employment at the same time was not working out for me. So I said, I can actually go into the military and do both at the same time. So I enrolled, I enlisted into the Marine Corps. I thought it was the best at the time. I had done my research. I didn't like the uniforms for the Navy. I don't like the ocean. It's like when stuff touches me in the water, it's a problem.
Okay.
I don't like turbulence, so it was just like, I really felt like the Marine, I mean, I'm being silly, but that did play a part in it too. But I felt like the Marines was the best, and they didn't even have to like really recruit me. I just kind of walked in and said, this is what I want to do.
So what was your okay? So I met a young lady yesterday, not a young lady, a young man yesterday at my church, and he's in the Marines, and he just happened to be home for the weekend visiting, and so I was like, okay, so in the Air Force is AFAC, and then the Army is MOS, and he schooled me. He said, yeah, it's MOS in the Marines too. So what's your job? For those of you that are not associated with the military, those acronyms that I just named off, each branch of service, they all have their own acronyms. All of them probably have 1,000 different acronyms. I'm not sure how they keep it all together, mind you. But the MOS is basically whatever it is that you do full time, as far as what your job is for that branch of service. So if you could tell us a little bit about that, and then I would love to hear what your experience in the Marines as a woman, a female serving in that branch. I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about your experiences that way.
Okay. Well, like Tiffany said, the MOS is the Military Occupational Specialty. So my job was aviation supply. And the way I explain that to civilians is you have Pep Boys, which is an automotive type of company that works on their vehicles and things of that nature. So the thing about that is what you do with that is you what you do is there were 7 different branches within aviation supply. So you're either supplying parts, you're sending out different aircraft pieces to get repaired. You're trying to find where you can cannibalize or pull one part from another piece and work on another piece. So it's like 7 different branches within aviation supply. And we are the ones that keeps the birds, as we call them birds, we keep the birds in the air. So that's basically what I did.
So as a female in the Marines, how do you feel like were you treated? I've heard, just different people from various branches share their experiences. Some, of course, have had better experiences than others, but as far as opportunity for growth, how did you, as far as like the team and the overall camaraderie, or again, even opportunities to excel aside from the annual testing dates. And again, the Marines might work a little different than the Air Force. I know how the Air Force works, but
So while in the military, it was like a love-hate relationship. I tell people my first 4 years and my last 4 years were honestly my worst. Because for the simple part is when you first get in, you don't know what to expect. And like I mentioned, I really thought I was going to be able to go to school. And when you first get in, you're not anybody's priority. You just do what you're told to do. And I went in at 27 and 25. And, being an adult, already having had my own experiences and had my own adult life, things weren't the same at all. And here I am thinking, well, I'm doing what I need to do. I should be able to go to school. It was like, well, just do what you're told and you'll eventually be able to go. So the first 4 years, I did not go to school. But then just kind of fell into a routine. It was okay. I didn't realize it until I picked up basically corporal and sergeant. That's E4 and E5. Have been in for about 4 or 5 years. That is very cliquish. And like, most companies and organizations are. It's about who you know. And it's pretty much a good old boy kind of situation. So if you and I both have the same qualifications and we're coming in and the person that's doing the interviewing or the questioning knows you, they're going to select you because they know you. So it's a lot of that goes
Actually partial towards
right.
people. Yeah.
Right. So a lot of that was going on. And then too, having had a life experience, leadership doesn't always want to hear from you, whether you have the experience or not. And that was a little bit of a learning curve for me, having gone in older and being outspoken at times was not that was frowned upon. So kind of went into myself and retreated into myself and didn't really assert myself as much as I should have or could have for fear of not being promoted. So I kind of felt like I sat on the sidelines a lot. And I wasn't chosen for a lot of things. So the further I got in the military, the more difficult it became. And then the last 7 years, I didn't get promoted. So it was like doing all the things, going out of my way, doing all the things, and it wasn't happening. And it didn't help that midway through my career, basically at the year 10, I switched careers, and not having grown up in that MOS, you're looked at, well, I already know what to do. You're just coming in. I mean, I learned it. Why can't you? And now you're competition because you're at a higher rank. Nobody's willing to help you. Nobody's willing to just kind of support you in that. So it's like you get in where you fit in. So kind of retreated further in, and didn't advocate for myself, didn't speak up for myself because I'm trying to get promoted. And lo and behold, still never got promoted. Once I never made it past E6, which is a staff sergeant in the Marine Corps. So was really bitter at first, for a while, because I've done all the things and I wasn't getting it. But I feel like it led me to what it is that I'm doing now and who I'm able to support with what I do now. And I thank God for that situation, because I wouldn't be where I am right now had I not gone through that.
Okay. All right. Well, I love that. So I want to ask one, how did you cope through, basically being overlooked, being rejected, like, how did you cope through all of that? And then please go into what it is that you do now. I would love to, for our audience,
Okay.
a little bit about that. Yeah.
Coping at the time was about the close friends that I had around me. I met my then boyfriend at the time, and I was an E4, and we were together from E4 to E7. So he helped a lot. And then I felt like kind of like Charlie Brown. I embraced my like outcastness. It's like, well, you don't want to deal with me. I'm good over here. Let me find some more outcasts, and we will get it in where we fit in. And my mentality is I have like a can-do kind of a spirit. So even though I wasn't where I needed to be, where I thought I needed to be, I kind of can't get down on myself because I know I'm doing the best that I can. So I kind of gravitated to people that were like that, even though we were like not being thought of or anything, but it's like I was kind of like the one encouraging the ones that were like me. So, I kind of became known as I'm probably going to regret this, but I was known as like Mama Clink. My last name was Clinkskills at the time, and they just called me like Mama Clink. And then when I got married, the last name changed to McIntosh. Then I became known as Mama Mac. So that was kind of like my personality a little bit later on in the military. And a couple times I even got like chastised about it from my superiors, because it's like, you baby your Marines, you baby your sailors. And it's like, no, if we're on the front line, I need to know what's going on with them. Ask them who they would go to war for, whose back they would have on a battlefield. And I treated my Marines and sailors like people. I know you're not behaving like you normally behave. What's going on with you? Nothing, Staff Sergeant. Come on, let's walk and talk. By the time we get done walking and talking, I now know that you've had an argument with your wife. She got you on the couch. The cat bothered you all night. You haven't had any sleep. I'm sitting up here chewing your butt when you get in here because you're not doing what you need to do. Go home, take some time with your wife, take her out to dinner, do whatever you need to do, and get your butt back here tomorrow morning. Then the supervisors are like, where's such and such? I sent them home. There you go. You baby and you no, it's about taking care of people, and when people feel like you're taken care of, they'll do almost anything that you need them to do, and you just treat them like a person. I digress.
So something you said there reminds me of like my philosophy when it comes to raising children, which is very similar. You're in charge of this body of soldiers. The same way I feel like I'm in charge of my, not so much my kids. My kids are older now. I'm not so much in charge now, but growing up, I realized that if you have their heart, you can point their heart in whatever direction, whatever direction it needs to go.
Yes.
But you gotta have their heart. But
Yes.
not everybody, even not people. People will don't they typically don't just hand over their heart. It's something that you have to earn. You have to earn the trust. And I
Right.
imagine that with the way that with the way that you did nurture their hearts, that the morale of your team was pretty high. So,
Yes.
and again, on the battleground, that really counts. Like that counts for something. So, I love that, love that, love that. So, again, when we talked a little bit, I mentioned POP earlier, Purpose on Purpose, correct? Tell
Yes.
our audience about Purpose on Purpose.
Well, Purpose on Purpose is a startup nonprofit that I started in 2020. And our goal is to provide a year of safe housing and resources for women transitioning from domestic violence while attending a vocational or a trade school program, while being empowered and empowered in a non-judgmental space with respect and sustainable support. So what that means is we basically, female survivors of domestic violence have done one of the most hardest things in life that they're ever going to do. And when they leave that situation, a lot of times they don't know where they're going or what the next step is going to be. They just leave, eventually they
Right.
leave.
Yes.
And a lot of times when they don't get the help that they need, it could possibly turn into all different types of things: drug abuse, you know, um, human trafficking, all these different things can happen as a result of them not having the assistance that they need. So POP comes in and we want to partner with other organizations who would have maybe like a welding program or
Okay.
something like that, some type of vocational program. And we would be a resource to that program. So we're not necessarily looking for the ladies, but the ladies would be referred to POP. And then we would come together with that organization, that woman, and then Purpose on Purpose and structure a plan for her for the entire year. So that year, while she's doing all these different trainings and all these things, she doesn't have to worry about housing because she's staying with POP. And she's also getting the resources and the sustainable support that she needs from the other organization. So it's definitely a group and a community effort.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so when I think about, and you know what, I bet you I probably said the same thing when you first mentioned it. When we first connected over the journal, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so I want you to talk a little bit about the journal. I want you to talk about your affirmation, and then when you talk about your affirmation, because I believe that your affirmation would be honestly for anybody, but when I think about the way that you connect with people, the way that you serve women, whether again it's through life coaching or through nonprofit work, it's all about mindset, based
Yes.
upon, wherever you're in, like, again, I mentioned heart earlier. You have the heart of an individual, you can point in whatever direction you want them to go. But, the heart of the person is connected to the mind. Right. And so when they believe the wrong things, they make the wrong decisions and they go the wrong direction. Right. And
Yes.
so the affirmations, again, is all about just empowering women, retraining them to think and to believe different. So, I want you to share your affirmation, and I want you to, in sharing your affirmation, I want you to speak directly to the woman that would need to hear your message, and encourage her.
Okay. Well, one of my affirmations, and it's more of statements slash affirmations, but it says investing in yourself is the most important investment you'll ever make in your life. There's no financial investment that'll ever match it, because if you develop more skill, more availability, more insight, more capacity, that's what's going to really provide economic freedom. It's those skills that set apart that really make it what happens. And you for yourself that you can possibly be. And it's like, what is something that you want to invest in for yourself that's going to provide you with personal growth? What's stopping you from applying that for that? What's stopping you from purchasing it? What's stopping you from reading it? We can't always purchase that next course or that textbook or whatever it is that we need, because we're not always at a point where we can do that. But what you can do is you can pick up a book from the library. You can read. You can surround yourself with other people who are like-minded and even have more than what it is that you have, because you want to keep on going. So you have to be willing to invest in yourself, and investing is not always financial. A lot of times, like I said, it can't be financial all the time. And if you're in a situation where you're trying to leave a harmful relationship or things of that matter, even if it's not domestic violence, but even if it's a job that doesn't serve you, or you're not treating yourself the right way, what is something that you can do that's going to propel you forward? How can you help yourself? And then after you make that investment in yourself, how can you continue to move forward? So it's all about, like we said earlier, it's about the mindset. So once you get your mind wrapped around what it is that you want to do, once you get your mind wrapped around how it is you need to move forward, and then you have that support system that's around you, that's willing to support you, you can move mountains. But you have to be willing to invest in yourself, because if you're not willing to invest in yourself, other people aren't going to be willing to invest in you as well. So you want to make sure that that's what you're doing, because there are going to be times where there's not going to be anybody around you but yourself. So you've got to continue encouraging yourself, and you've got to keep on investing in yourself. And then you also need to remember that action boosts confidence. The more you do, the more confident you'll be. And I like to say something from a mentor of mine. His name is Darren Hardy. He says, we're flawsome. Nobody's perfect, but I am perfect at being flawsome. Being flawsome means embracing my flaws and all. I'm not on here trying to be perfect. I'll mess up something. I'll say the wrong word. But guess what? I know my intent is going to come across. I know you'll see me more as a human because I'm making mistakes. And I mean, I really don't care if you feel like I'm not doing what I need to do, because I'm doing the best that I can possibly do. So you have to embrace your flaws and all. So once you, like I said, once you're investing in yourself, once you have your head wrapped around the mindset that you need to have to move forward, you can move mountains, and you're worth the investment.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. You said a couple of times that you can move mountains. Um, I reading something this morning that kind of fed into that. But again, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't have the faith behind the words that you're speaking, if you always just see yourself as a victim, if you cannot visualize that you can, like, though you're here now, this is not the long term. This is seasonal. This is, you are in transition. You're headed somewhere. All of us are headed somewhere in life. Where we're
Right.
at now, we're just going to be here, but so long, right? But this season's going to come to an end, and then we're going to transition forward. And I think that we as women, no matter what situations that we're in, that we need to do as much as we can. I think in regard to retraining our minds so that, one, that we believe in ourselves, but then two, just me as a Christian, as a believer, I really do believe that that with faith, I think faith really can move mountains. Like, you really, you have to believe in something higher than yourself. I am limited, but with Him, all things are possible. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to get the things that I want, that the end result is going to be the way that I planned it, but I do trust that He will cause it to work out for my good, no matter what the end result is. And so the win is not, again, in the end result. The win is in trusting that He has control of the end result. Um, there's the scripture, man will roll the dice, but it's the Lord who decides how they land.
Yes.
I love that. I love it. So, that means I can try my best. But at my best, or at my worst, He has my back. And so,
Yes.
again, I can just trust in the end result that He has for me, not necessarily the end result that I picture for myself. So with that, Shavali, thank you again for coming on today.
Oh, you're
As
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. As I mentioned before, she's one of 39 women that came together to make affirmations for a woman on a mission journal a success. So I want to make sure that you're able to follow up with her. But before we do that, you can, Shivali, tell them where to go in order to buy a copy of the journal directly from you. Where would they go at?
To purchase a journal from me, you can go to fullofpop.org, and you'll see a button that says affirmations or journal, and you can click that, and it'll take you directly to the page where you can purchase a journal for yourself. So that's Full of Pop, and pop stands for purpose on purpose, fullofpop.org.
Very good, very good. So tell our audience, how can they follow up with you in the future? If somebody wants to work with you as far as your life coaching, I don't know. Did you talk a little bit about your life coaching?
No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
here's your moment.
Okay.
Yeah, tell them about, like, just tell them what's your lane where life coaching is concerned, and honestly, I'd love to hear your heart behind it. Like, hearing a little bit of what your story and a little bit of what you've done. I feel like I kind of can understand naturally how you kind of fall into the flow of things on that line. But tell us a little bit. Let's take a few more minutes. I want to hear that. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So life coaching started about 22 years ago. I served 20 years in the Marine Corps, and from maybe my second year in, I was always giving counsel. I was always sought after for like advice and things of that nature, and I would give it. And then it continued the entire time I was in the military. And then upon retiring, I started doing hair full time. And while I was working behind the chair, same thing started happening. And the issues and the concerns that people had while I was in the military is the same issues and concerns they had while behind the chair. And what I started noticing is that I was more invested a lot of times than the people that were asking for help. So you would come to me and say something, and we would share and we would talk, and I would, you would ask me a question and I would pour into you. 6 weeks later, I come back, oh my goodness, tell me what happened. And they're like, oh, no, and then like the next time I'm like, okay, so what happened now? And it's almost like they got annoyed with me because I'm holding them accountable. And it was like, I needed boundaries. It was like, this can't go on because I'm getting more upset than they are and they're not committed. So I knew that I needed to have boundaries because I learned that in the past. But when it came to offering advice, where does Chavali end and where does this individual begin? So it's like I have to get to a certain point and stop there and don't go beyond that. So I had been asked several times if I was a life coach. And I'm like, no, you kind of got to have your life together to be a life coach. I'm going through a divorce. Like, no, COVID, so I really didn't think I could do it. And then I started looking it up and I realized most life coaches have been through something and they've gotten through it and they're able to encourage and support other people going through things. And they have a genuine heart for wanting to help people go through things. And then there's the accountability piece. So, I mean, that just resonated with your girl like crazy. So I went to the course. I became a certified life coach and I specialize in self-love and mindset. And my philosophy is that mindset, like we talked about earlier, is the key to everything. Like we are fearfully and wonderfully made and our minds are amazing. So we can just get our minds together. And a lot of times we don't have other people, like I mentioned earlier, to support us, but with the Lord's help and when you don't even have anybody else, you have to remember why you were made, like you are made for more. And I like to tell people a lot of times what you've been through is not just for you. It's for the person or the people that you're going to help once you get through it. So you've got to get through it because there are people that need to hear your story. There are people that need your help. And myself, I've never been through domestic violence. That's not my situation, but it was placed on my heart by the Holy Spirit to start the nonprofit because I've been volunteering my entire life. And I kind of have a go big or go home mentality. So, I mean, of course, I started a nonprofit, so so the ladies of Purpose on Purpose are actually going to receive a year of life coaching while they're within the program. So they're going to get that as well. So both of my causes basically work together. So the life coaching is called There's Hope Now. My middle name is Hope. And the name came to me because of I'm a Christian. I believe I'm a follower of Christ. So there's hope now, which is the Lord. My middle name is Hope. There's hope now. And then it's telling the client, look, there's hope now. So it has like this whole, it has this whole meaning for me. So that's life coaching for me.
I love it. I do. I love it. I love the play on words. I love the thought behind it. I love the action that it actually infers. Like, it inspires you to stand up, like, and not to necessarily slump down. And it's not like there's hope for next week, like now,
Right.
in the moment. Like
Yes.
I can start to believe and to feel differently now. So I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So Chavali, thank you again. Like, I've enjoyed this. Tell our listeners, how can they connect with you?
I'm on Instagram at Full of Purpose on Purpose. Full of Pop was taken. So I'm on Instagram at Full of Purpose on Purpose, all spelled out. And I'm also at fullofpop.org. for the website. And then for There's Hope Now, it's literally There's Hope Now on Instagram. And like I said, there's hopenow.com for the website. So really simple to find me. If you tend to go to Purpose on Purpose, you might see a little bit about There's Hope Now and vice versa, because both work together. And it's not just about domestic violence. It includes it, but it's not just about that. So if you need some encouragement, if you need some support, accountability is amazing. Just come reach out to me. I'll be happy to support you.
All righty. Thank you again, Chavali. All right. So again, ladies, if you've not gotten a copy of the affirmation journal, go to Full of Hope, right? No, There Is Hope Now. No, you know what? I'm gonna let her tell you where you can buy the journal directly from her if you would like to.
Yes, it's on the screen, fullofpop.org, to purchase a journal from myself.
Yes. Okay, and so we want to make sure that we get this into as many hands as possible. So if you've not gotten your copy, go ahead, connect with Chavali today, and get your copy. So with that, I want to bring an end to today's show. We've definitely enjoyed getting to know Chavali, and all of the good that she's done, one, for our country. So thank you very much for serving. But two, that you continue to bring hope to people through your nonprofit and through your life coaching services. All right. So with that, again, you're quite welcome. Very sweet young lady. All righty. You guys take care, and we will see you soon. Take care.